The most pressing question everyone has been asking is, why did you say Daddy God? Where is Chloe now? Is Chloe with a woman now? Are you still religious? What denomination did you grow up in? How did you know you were gay? Craziest church/cult story. Do you still talk to your parents? Are you the tube top girl? What do you plan to do with the Dear Daddy God story? What is the current status of your queer dating life? Can I say that I'm high on YouTube? Can I be like, I took an edible? I just took a gummy. I'm going to answer as much questions. I just took a gummy. I'm going to answer as many questions as I can about the Daddy God series. And that will be today's podcast episode. You're welcome. Hi, this is Cross My Heart Podcast. Welcome. I'm going to talk to you about my week. I'm going to ramble a little bit. I'm talking to a girl right now who feels differently about me than I feel about her. And that's kind of spooky. I think usually I'm the one that has more feelings. Like in any relationship, situationship I've been in the past, I am always the one that's like, I'm bringing you flowers. I'm making you brownies. I'm coming to your house and I'm hand felting you a portrait of your cat. Okay, like I'm obsessed with you. And in this case, this is the first time that I haven't been that obsessed with a woman who is that obsessed with me. And I've been having these crazy anxious thoughts lately where I'm like, I'm not as obsessed with this person as she is with me. It must mean I'm not gay or something, which my therapist says is OCD. Whatever. I think it's fine to think a person is cool and not want to be in a relationship with them. But this is the first time that I've experienced being on the other side. And it's quite spooky. It's quite fun. I started getting fidget toys. Oh my God, Matthew, can you hand me a fidget toy? Producer in the room. I love you, baby. Can you just hand me the whole basket? I'm going to do a fidget toy review. I took an edible before this, so this is going to be awesome. I've never done that before, but I think it's going to make this video so much more fun to watch, or podcast episode more fun to listen to. I have recently been getting into fidget toys lately. My friend Avery has a basket of fidget toys at her house, and it's always a full basket of fantastic little things to play with. Like if you're in a therapist's office, they have like a basket of stress toys, fidget toys. And something that no one tells you is that when you're a grown-up, only 24 years old, you can have fucking toys. You're allowed to have toys at your house. You're allowed to have like children's toys and games. I have board games. I have these little squishy things. Here, I have got this guy. It's for the people listening, sort of like a dog/bear. It's long, like a rubber chicken, soft, like, I don't know what that's soft like, but it's beautiful. I've got some Nido stuff, some Nido brand squishy toys. I like something that has a hard squish. I like something that when I squeeze it, I feel like I want to bite it. Like that's my favorite kind of squishy toy, is like, I'm going to bite this with my teeth. So those are my current favorites right now, but I'm going nuts on squishy toys. I did one arm workout this week. I did bicep curls. I did a little bit I did some bicep curls. I did some tricep extensions. And the next day I genuinely was like, I'm so hot. Like I woke up the next day from doing bicep curls one time and I was like, I think I'm going to make a smoothie for breakfast. I think I'm going to have a little smoothie. So that was really fun. Daddy God series has been fun. You guys have been fun with that. I am about to start posting my college diaries on the internet, which is really fun and scary. So I've had to do sort of like a run through of people and places and times that happened and like double check with the individuals involved that I'm allowed to talk about them on my podcast or talk about them via the internet. So I've had to go back and talk to my college roommate and my friends and say like, hey, can I say your name on the Daddy God diaries, please? And typically they say yes, but it's just a scary thing because I don't know, if I'm listing people that I've kissed, it's probably nice to ask if I can tell the internet that I've kissed them or if I should use someone else's name. I love this squishy toy. Oh my God. You can ring my bell. That's a good song. Someone said it had a really high frequency. So in casinos, they like don't let you play it because it makes you win a bunch of money or something. Like it has a manifestorial frequency. I don't think that's true, but I have been listening to it on repeat in my home. Dear Daddy God, you have a lot of questions about the Dear Daddy God series, and I am going to answer them to the best of my ability. So let's get started. The most pressing question everyone has been asking is, why did you say Daddy God? I can't even say it right now. I just realized that I have to say that phrase so many more times in my life and also so many more times in this video, which makes me feel sort of sick. So I'm really excited for that. Everyone brace yourself for that. Why did you say daddy God? Did you just freestyle it? Like, was that your own personal thing, or were other people saying it? And it was like a very big thing. It honestly shocked me how many people had never said the words daddy God before because it was almost like Christian slang, like a trend in the 2010s. I think the best that I can explain it is that at the time there was this huge push for Christians to have a close personal relationship with God. So like most people when they would start a prayer would say, Father God, please guide us and help us. Thank you for bringing us all here together, whatever. And so to prove that you had like an even closer, almost like childlike relationship with God, some people would say daddy God, like daddy God instead of Father God, to show that they were almost like closer to God than others. And it became this big trend and a lot of people were saying it. Me specifically, I started saying it at Christian summer camp because I had a camp counselor. I had 2 camp counselors, twins, Heather, Heidi, shout out girlies, that I thought were really hot when I was in middle school. Basically, when one of them was leading a prayer, she said, Dear Daddy God, and I thought it was like so cool and hot, and I wanted her to think that I was cool and hot. So then I started saying Daddy God in hopes that she would notice me, and it did not work, but then I basically wrote letters to Daddy God every single day for 8 years. So it really sort of had a hold on me. And that's why I say Daddy God. I don't say it any. Oh, another question. Someone asked if I still say it. No, I don't still say that. I don't really believe in Daddy God in the traditional sense, if you know what I mean. So that does not plague me anymore. I currently write my journals. I don't even address anyone in my journals. I just start writing about what happened in my day. But I do still journal, just not to Daddy God. Oh my God, I hate saying that. Another question, big pressing question. Where is Chloe now? And do I have some news for you? I think it'd be really fun if we were in love. Like, I think that's a really cute, fun story. But unfortunately, the truth of like fundamentalist Christianity and living in a small town is that not everybody makes it out. And I know that's kind of a bummer, but I feel really grateful for the experience that I had with her. She currently is married. She lives in our hometown. She wants to be a mom. She is very religious and has really like 180'd a lot of her beliefs about science and women's rights and queer people, and it was really hard, and it was one of the hardest friendship breakups / homoerotic friendship breakups I've ever had, and it was really tough. But I do think that the version of her that I met, she was quite agnostic, atheist. She was like pretty open about having what we called same-sex attraction at the time, but being bisexual. Like, she would talk about being queer. And then she really changed her tune at the end of high school and made some different choices. But I don't think I would have known about the words to even like describe queerness had I not met her. And it is like very sad that things shook out the way that they did, but I'm so grateful for that opportunity. Like, I think the world felt bigger. I saw a world outside of how I grew up with her in it. And even though her world is a bit smaller now, I'm so grateful for her. And I'm so grateful for the time that we have. And I really genuinely hope that she's happy. I struggle with how people find happiness and freedom within a fundamentalist Christian faith, but I really do like hold out hope for her. Yeah, just like some people not making it out is an unfortunate truth of the way that I grew up. And I know that's a sad answer to a question, but thank you for listening. The next question is kind of confusing from the Daddy God Diaries is what is the Jason / Matthew arc? To explain it. So if you've listened to the diaries, you would know that there's a boy named Jason that comes out as gay in high school that I like kind of have a crush on, kind of don't. And then him coming out as gay is like a big deal to me, where I sort of like realize that I don't really have feelings for him, and then sort of engage with God about queerness for the first time, which I find really interesting to reflect on looking back. Jason, this is pseudonym. His real name is Matthew. He gave me permission to use the real name. Is currently my roommate and best friend. And we met in high school. We sat next to each other in calculus, and very quickly became friends. And when I was going through this whole like renaissance of myself and my beliefs and leaving the church and going no contact with my parents and this whole thing, him and his family and his house became like a safe haven for me, where I was allowed to express myself a little bit more freely. So he's my guy. He's the guy that I spend holidays with, and I like go home to his family to hang out for Christmas, and I have like a beautiful chosen family with him. So that is who Jason / Matthew is. He's my best guy, and I want him to co-host my podcast, and he said no, but I'm still working on it. So if you could peer pressure him in the comments of this YouTube video, that would mean the world to me. Thank you. Mama's gonna have some juice. I think I'm high already. Mama's gonna have some juice. I can't do this. I think this is making my throat dry. I put almond milk in this, and now it's just sort of like disintegrated. It's got some floaters in it. Next question. Is Chloe with a woman now? No, she's married to Dylan in real life, which is tragic, and they don't believe in abortion or dinosaurs. Next. Another question I get a lot is, are you still religious? And I'm not in the church, obviously, anymore. I'm not a fundamentalist Christian at this time, but I do believe in something. I'm not necessarily an atheist. I wouldn't say that. I don't like go to church. I don't have any regular spiritual faith practice, but I think that sort of like the spirituality that I hold on to is this idea that we're all connected to each other. And I know that's like corny and gay, but like the idea that everyone's united by love and everyone's united by caring for one another and everyone's united by even like death. I think about death a lot, but like not in an anxious way, so don't freak out. But like I think a beautiful way to change people's minds, like this was really effective for me when I was a young conservative Christian, is I was taught that other people were so different from me. Like people that were not Christian and raised in the exact church that I was in were different and bad. And if I were to engage with them too much, they would give me bad ideas and they would tempt me to do bad things. But then when I got to go to college and meet people who were different from me, I had this experience that I'm really grateful for, where I got to become close with friends and then sort of experience my friends losing like a parent, a grandparent, a partner. Like watching people different from me grieve was a really transformative experience. Like as someone who as a kid had lost someone important to them, I got to watch my peers who were different from me experience loss. And then something clicked in my conservative brain where I was like, oh, me and you aren't different. Like we both are so sad that we lost this person that we loved. And I think that's like a really beautiful thing that unites all of us. And so when I think about like spirituality and religion, I think that that's the core of it, is like we're all made of the same stuff. So I don't have a spiritual practice, but I do like reflect on humanity quite often and the things that make us similar. All right, the next question is, did you lose a lot of friendships after deconstructing? Yes, I lost all of my friendships. The church that I grew up in was really a bubble. It was called the Apostolic Christian Church of America. I can talk about that more later, but essentially had the same group of like Sunday school best girlfriends from when you're a baby to when you're 18 years old, and you do everything together and you graduate together. And when I started asking questions, I sort of became ostracized a bit. Like I was kind of like the weird one that was making everything difficult for everybody. And so I lost a good bit of connection to those people. And I think that's why these like high control religions are allowed to prosper so much, is because basically if you leave, you risk losing everything that you love. Like you risk your safety net, you risk your family security, your financial security, and then also just like your whole peer group, your whole circle of friends. When I was little, my family joined the Apostolic Church, and all of my friends at the time were going to this private Christian school that all of the apostolics in my area went to, but my family was broke and we could not afford it. So then I ended up going to public high school, and that's where I ended up meeting friends that were not in my religion. And had I not had that, I don't think I would have been able to leave, because I think that I wouldn't have had a safety net, or like I was talking about Matthew to lean on at that time. I wouldn't have been able to like see outside of the bubble. Next question. What denomination did you grow up in? It was called the Apostolic Christian Church of America. There's a lot of different types of apostolic. There's like Pentecostal, there's regular apostolic, there's like scientific apostolic, whatever. This one was like a specific niche denomination in the Midwest. There's churches everywhere, but essentially it's a really pacifist religion. So men aren't allowed to go to war. You're not allowed to swear, but in like a legalistic sense. So I know a lot of people recognize apostolics as the people that like refuse to swear in court. So like if you're asked to swear in a Bible, we're not allowed to say that. We would say like, I promise. You would recognize an apostolic on the street in like the long denim skirt and a head covering. And then there's a lot of really restrictive rules around things like marriage and women's roles and like family roles. And those are really heavily enforced. Like stoicism was really valued in men specifically. Like men weren't really encouraged to play with their kids because that was sort of expressing emotion in a way that was traditionally feminine. So gender roles were really enforced. I remember Sunday school was interesting. We would have female teachers teach Sunday school up until 3rd grade. If you don't know, Sunday school is like a weekly church school. Female teachers were teachers for little tiny kids. And then once boys hit age 8, so 3rd grade, they were considered men by the church and then could no longer have female teachers, because that would be like placing women in a position of power over a man, even though that man was 8 years old. So there's like some really fascinating gender stuff going on. So obviously this church was not cool with gay people. Obviously they had some strict rules about gender. And basically the thing that, in my opinion, makes it kind of culty, kind of like a high control religion, is that they practice something called excommunication. So the church can sort of get together and vote to have you I'm about to say dismembered, but that is definitely a murder term. Like lose your membership in the church and not be invited back. And that's what makes it sort of this high control religion, is the element that you can get kicked out and essentially abandoned from your community for not following the rules. And I remember seeing that happen in action as a kid. And it was really scary to know that you're a part of this community, and then as soon as you express, maybe like confess a specific sin that you did. So a lot of people would get excommunicated for having sex outside of marriage, marrying someone that wasn't in the church. People would be excommunicated because marriage can only happen between church members, which, if you're thinking sounds kind of incestual, it is. Apostolics, man. What other weird rules did we have? We weren't allowed to dance. It was very Footloose vibe. So like at weddings, there was no dancing, there was no drinking. It was just eating dinner in sort of like a fellowship hall, kind of like a cafeteria. There was no white dresses at weddings, which is kind of an interesting one, because white dresses were reserved for your baptism, which was considered by our elder the marriage to God. Your baptism was your marriage to God. So you would wear white for that. And then because a human relationship could never match up to that marriage, you would wear not white, because like you would never be as pure as you were for your marriage to God. Wedding rituals in general were fascinating because there was also no jewelry was allowed. So there was never an exchanging of rings. There was no flowers or photography allowed at weddings. So instead of flowers, women's bridesmaids would carry Bibles down the aisle, which is so corny. Oh, there was no, fathers did not give away their daughters at the weddings that I grew up going to. So it's kind of feminist if you think about it, but essentially it's because you were not property of your father. It's because you were property of God. And so God was the only one that could give you away. So parents would just sort of sit in the aisles. But it's because weddings weren't really a thing. Like a wedding was something that happened at the end of a church service in the church that I grew up in. At the end of a regular Sunday sermon, two people would get married, but it was sort of like an afterthought. It wasn't like something that you invited all your friends and family to. It was just like the whole church, all 600 of us are already here, so we're going to sit and watch you two get married and then like go eat lunch in the cafeteria after. It wasn't really special. So I have a really weird relationship with like a wedding. I know a lot of people have grown up thinking about their weddings their whole lives, like wanting a really beautiful wedding, but I have not put much thought into it, honestly, because I never knew that it could be such a thing, you know? I'm so high. I can't see right now. Is it crazy can I say that I'm high on YouTube? Can I be like, I took an edible? Fat back Hannah, don't let the edible win. I'm so thirsty. Why am I thirsty? It's probably the edible. It's because you did drugs, Hannah. Sin. Tapping. I took a little fruit snack. I took a little 10 milligram fruit snack. It's already kicked in a little, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm feeling it more. I'm going to answer more questions. How did you know you were gay? I have no idea. Like it was so hard. The thing about the diaries that everyone laughs at is like, how did you not know you were gay when you're writing the gayest stuff I've ever seen in my life? And it's because I didn't know what gay was. Like, I didn't have the vocabulary to explain that what I was feeling was gay. Like when I was like 7 years old, my family went to Disney World and we ended up going during Gay Days, which is like Pride at Disney. And I saw a lot of queer couples holding hands, kissing, and I didn't think anything of it because I was 6. So I was just like, oh, people holding hands, whatever. Okay. But I remember I saw a man reach in to kiss another man that he was holding hands with, and my dad covers my eyes and he's like, we got to get out of here. You can't be seeing stuff like that. And I remember I had no idea why he covered my eyes. Like I was like, I'm pretty sure I only saw people kissing, but my dad covered my eyes, which means I'm not supposed to see it. Okay. And that was like my first interaction with queerness of any kind, was just like, okay, boy kissing boy, bad. I'm not supposed to look at that. Like that's something for grown-ups. And that was pretty much my first context of queerness. And then I had this sort of family that just like didn't talk about being gay. So I remember when HGTV would be on at my grandma's house, like the home improvement network where they would do Love It or List It and the Property Brothers and stuff like that. Sometimes there would be a gay couple on screen that would be like buying a house or something. And anytime the episode of Love It or List It would be a gay couple, my grandpa would turn off the TV and he'd go, yuck, and then shut off the TV. And so I kind of just learned like that that's not something that we were supposed to like or look at. And so I think I just had this internalized homophobia sort of like formed in me from a young age, where I didn't allow myself to think that the thoughts that I was having were queer, even if they were. Like it was like a safety measure to protect myself, to not even let my brain go to the space of believing that I was gay. How I did know I was gay happened in college. I went into college pretty sure I was straight, but kind of questioning why I had enjoyed kissing women or like being best friends with women in such an intense way. And I think a lot of it happened during this like massive COVID reflection. I had a lot of experiences growing up where I felt ostracized and different than the people around me. Like the way that I had crushes felt really different than the people around me. Like my friends, it felt like they would have these crushes for someone that they couldn't control, and they would act all crazy and stupid for a boy that they were in love with. And I never felt that way. I always sort of felt like I chose a crush and then decided to have a crush on them. So I didn't understand why other people would be head over heels crazy. Or I would have experiences where maybe like the movies I liked or the music I liked or the way that I enjoyed musical theater even, the way that I enjoyed stereotypically gay things like softball and woodworking made me feel almost like a tomboy, like different than other people. And so as an adult, when I learned about queerness, I took a gender and sexuality studies class, read the Lesbian Master Doc, and I fell for a woman for the first time pretty much in the same like 3-4 month period. And connecting all of those dots was sort of how I figured out I was gay. I think that once you have the words for it, once you realize that the experiences that you're having are queer, everything kind of falls into place. So having all of these experiences at the same time that allowed me to label and name the experiences I was having is how I came into queerness. Have you lost your faith? Magnus asked me this question. Sorry for name dropping you, Magnus. I don't really like the phrase lost your faith, but that's how I would have phrased it when I was a Christian too. I know this is corny, but I think I don't view it as losing anything. Like I think I have gained so much freedom and knowledge and deep friendship that I never would have had before had I not left the church. So I'm actually not going to word it that way. I'm going to say what I've gained since I have left the church, which I think is quite beautiful. I think that when you're a Christian, friendships are really fake and shallow, and they feel real because you're being vulnerable, right? Like the nature of Christian friendships is sort of confession and secret telling, which in my opinion is like policing other Christians. So Christians will like meet up for quote coffee chats where you'll talk to other Christians about the temptations that you've had during the week, or you'll have to tell your pastor about like everything you've ever done wrong. And sharing your like innermost thoughts with another person feels close technically, but it's not really closeness. It's like forced closeness to keep watch on you. It's like literally self-policing, and it's fake, and I hate it. Since leaving Christianity, I realized how shallow most of my Christian friendships were. I think a lot of the friendships I went into, even with non-Christians in high school, my intention was to change the other person. I didn't experience unconditional love for another person that was not Christian because my end goal was always to change them, or always to make them a Christian, or always to invite them to my church and make sure they acted a certain way. There were always strings attached to the friendship that I was able to offer other people. And now as an adult, I get to experience this like very free, loving, unconditional type of friendship that I wish everyone would get to experience. But I think that fundamentalist Christianity and a lot of religion can take away from all of us. Ooh, I like this question. The next question is, where do you think you'd be now had you not deconstructed and gone to college? I think I would be married with kids in my hometown. I think that was the blueprint. I remember being a really little kid and this woman who I looked up to as an older woman at the time, I think she was 26, literally 26 years old. I remember going to her wedding and in the congregation hearing murmurs of the old ladies in church, all the old gossipy ladies saying that they never thought she would get married because she was an old maid. And it was the idea that like being 26 and unmarried is like the worst thing a woman could do, you know? So there was a lot of people that I knew growing up that would get married at 17, 18, 19, 20. A lot of women wouldn't go to college. So had I not deconstructed, that just like would have been my path. I had a role as a woman in the church, and it was to be a stay-at-home mom and to raise a lot of kids. There's a lot of people had tons of kids in the church. They were popping them out in a way that I don't think aligns with my spirit. Okay, this is a secret, but I was kind of being set up with a guy before I left the church, and he is the gayest man in the world. There would be this like push to matchmake, right? So like the elder of the church would have to arrange and approve the marriages, and the man that it was like rumored that I would end up with was a musical theater actor. He was a very talented musical theater performer, and the elder of our church thought that I would be a really good match for him. I like don't even know how to believe if my elder knew I was gay or if he knew that we were both gay, but he saw us together and was like, these guys are going to be so good married. So I might be married to a gay guy if I had not left the church, and we could have had a lot of babies and we could have sing them beautiful harmony together. And I think we'd find joy in it, but I think I'd still be a little sad. I think I'd be missing something had I not left the church. Next question is, how did you get to leave the church? So you're not really allowed to leave the church, which is sort of part of it. But I mentioned before that I met people that were outside of the church, like Matthew, for example, who helped me quite literally leave. So like in the process of leaving and going no contact with my family, there's like a lot of logistical stuff where I had to untangle myself from these like power structures and these parents and the people around me. So there was a lot of like, get a new phone plan, get my bank accounts untangled. Like a lot of boring logistical stuff had to be done in order to leave. And then it felt sort of like a sneaky leave in the night movie situation where Matthew came to my house in his car. I grabbed as much stuff as I could fit into his car, and then we drove away. It was very much like a movie moment of packing up all my stuff, writing a note, and never coming back. That sounded kind of sad when I said it, but I'm feeling really hopeful about it. I think it's quite happy. I think when I was in the car, windows down, brand new phone plan, I had a bank account of my own, I was with my best friend, it felt like that's when my life actually started. Like day one, I'm 1 year old at 20, which is a very hopeful feeling. I don't know. I think it's a very beautiful thing to be able to remember the moment that you started your life. All right. Do the people involved in the stories know you're talking about them? Have they seen the Daddy God videos? Chloe and Dylan, I have no idea if they've seen the Daddy God videos, and I really hope they haven't. I think that would make me feel ill. So there's people I went to high school with that know me and my story and my situation, but a lot of the names in the diaries are changed. So I'm getting many requests from people who know me asking like, you've got to tell me who Chloe is, man, which I think is very funny and sweet. But I don't think I'll ever reveal that just for the sake of not outing people, because that's not very kind. But most of the contact I've gotten from people involved in the stories have been just like asking who the other characters are, which I think is funny and sweet, because I'm nosy too. And if I were in someone's diary, I would have questions. Okay, the next one is craziest church/cult story. Let me think of crazy things that happened in the church. What did we do that was nuts? Oh my God. Okay, this is insane, but essentially my church was really trying to enforce the idea that Christians were persecuted. That was like a huge deal for our church, was like, you don't understand, like people want you dead. Like people hate you because you're a Christian. And it works in high control religions because it creates this us versus them groupthink, this mentality that makes it really easy to control the members of the in-group, which was women, which was me, which was all the members of the church. But to do that, they did some insane things. And I remember this one time we were doing an info night at the church about being a missionary, and they had like a private prayer session. They took us in a bus to a warehouse essentially across town, and they wanted us to have a worship session in this warehouse. And I remember we were praying and we were singing songs, and there was like a big knock on the door. The door was broken down by these men with like masks and what appeared to be guns, and they ran into the building. And I was very scared. I started crying. I think, I'm going to die. This is so scary. And then there's a man that walks up very close to me and asks me, do you believe in Jesus? If yes, we're going to shoot you. And so I was freaking out and scared. This man like laughs, takes off the mask that he's wearing, and he's like, don't cry. It's just me, Andy. It's just a guy named Andy that I go to church with. My friend's dad, actually. Just a guy named Andy. And they reveal that this was a bit, that they had been doing sort of like a high school theater group thing. And they were trying to show the kids like how badly non-Christians could be persecuting us by giving us like very real Christian persecution trauma. And I think it did work. It felt almost like a hazing ritual, and it made me really fear that like a shooting would happen to me, and it would be because of my faith. So that's one of my crazy stories. It's kind of dark now that I think about it. Sometimes I say stuff out loud and I don't think it's that bad. So, but that one was kind of sad, huh? Okay, well, I'll do another one. As a kid, I was a member of a church group called YTC, the Youth Temperance Council. And if you don't know, an organization called the Women's Temperance Council has been around since like the 1800s. And it's a group of women, and their goal is to stop recreational use of alcohol, drugs, stop sex before marriage for everyone. And this group, the Women's Temperance Council, spearheaded the Prohibition movement. And then I, as a middle schooler, decided to join the club that founded Prohibition. which means I was really cool. I was really fun to be around. I had lots of friends, but I was doing these like retreats and making PowerPoints, like trying to educate my peers about why alcohol and drugs was so bad for you because of what I had learned from the Youth Temperance Council. And I remember there was one time they did a demonstration with the youth pastor. She explained to us it's like not natural for a living thing to want alcohol, which is why we shouldn't consume it, because we're all like children of God and he didn't put that desire in our hearts. So then she's like, I'm going to bring out one of the creatures with the purest heart, my dog, Oscar. And I'm going to show you that even the creatures with the purest of hearts do not crave sinful things like alcohol. So she sets down a bowl of beer and a bowl of milk, and she gets Oscar off his leash, and she's like, look, watch what Oscar's natural instincts are. And obviously, this little dog runs to the bowl of beer, drinks pretty much all of it, and then she has to like laugh and explain that like, devil got Oscar this time. And then he gets a little drunk and throws up, which doesn't really have an ending to that story. I just think it's the funniest thing that's ever happened to me. Also, the Youth Temperance Council wasn't something that was part of my church. It was something that I elected to join. Like, I was such an awful child. I thought that God wanted me to be a prohibitionist. And I'm really grateful that that era is over, hence me taking an edible before this podcast started. Okay, next question is, do you still talk to your parents? I do not talk to my parents. I've been no contact with them for 5 to 6 years now. I think we're going on 6 years. And I am at peace with that decision. I think that it made the most sense in terms of leaving the religion that I did. But I did get this really large queer family, this like chosen family that I'm really proud of, that I think has offered me so much love and support despite not having like a traditional family structure. I do feel safe in the fact that I have a safety net with like Matthew and his family, with my college roommate, with these great friends that I've made in the comedy scene and in Chicago. I do have a family in that sense, just not the traditional like nuclear parent structure. But I'm okay with that. And I think that's the decision that aligned best with my personal safety and my personal needs. Okay. Are you the tube top girl? This question I got on one of my YouTube videos. I am the tube top girl. If you don't know what that means, in 2019, I posted a lot on TikTok during like the 2019-2020 COVID era. So there was this one video I had that went viral of me purchasing a tube top with quarters in Target because it was like something I wasn't allowed to do. I had to save up my money for a few weeks and like hide my tube top, and it was like a whole thing on the internet. Yes, I am the tube top girl. And yes, I still have the tube top, the sparkly black tube top. I also did stuff at the time too of like I got a tattoo for the first time and I drank for the first time and I did all this crazy stuff. And then they found my TikTok and that became a really viral video, was like them and me. They made me film this video, or basically the whole theme of the video was like that I love my parents and they did nothing wrong. And it was just like me lip syncing something. And I think they lip synced back, and we were like all three standing in my dorm staring at a camera, and all the comments knew it was obviously fake. Like it was like a forced reconciliation between me and my parents. And I got so many DMs and comments that were like, girl, blink twice if you were okay. And I had to delete all of them because I knew my parents were going to see them. Thank you to everyone that reached out during that time and said, Diva, are you okay? Because I wasn't, and you guys knew, but that's because it was very obvious. And I can't believe that my parents wanted me to post the video, because I feel like it was more incriminating than if they didn't. If I hadn't posted it, that would have been better than like whatever the hell we were doing. You can't find that video anymore, I don't think, but wow, what a time. Ooh, what do you plan to do with the Dear Daddy God story? Okay, I have a few plans for this. If you didn't know, I am a stand-up comedian in Chicago, and I write comedy about the experiences that I grew up in. And so a lot of times I'll talk about the themes that I talk about in the diaries on stage. And so that's sort of like one avenue for the Dear Daddy God diaries. I actually got a really cool opportunity a few weeks ago where I was asked to read some of the diaries out loud for a storytelling show at the Den Theater in Chicago. So I did some stand up and I did some like reading the diaries out loud, and it was very difficult to get through them in a theater full of 250 people, but it was really fun. In like a live performance aspect, I'd like that to be a direction that I go with the diaries. I think it's something that really resonates with people. And so I'm loving sharing it with new audiences. Another big dream of mine, if you've listened to the podcast, you already know this, but I am a comedian and a writer. And so I would love to write television. That's a big dream of mine. And so I am writing a pilot right now, like a TV show about this experience of me coming into my queerness. And most of it revolves around my college experience of becoming queer, kind of similar to like the vibe for the show that I want is sort of like a Kimmy Schmidt show meets Overcompensating by Benito Skinner. If you've seen those shows, this like coming of age college show where you're like a fish out of water, like someone in a place that's so unfamiliar to them, learning so much from the world around them. And that is a huge dream of mine. And then I think it would be interesting to publish them in a book, but I haven't decided how that would look yet. Like I think reading them to you is fun, but there is an element of not everything I'm reading is funny. So I don't think the book would be as enjoyable as you guys think it would be, but I am open to feedback. And that's where we are on book. Okay, next question is, where can I see you do stand-up? So I'm a stand-up comedian in Chicago. I run a monthly show called Pinky Swear Comedy. It's like an all-femme show, and then I do solo shows or like headlining shows sometimes, and I post those in my Linktree, so you can go there and check that out on Instagram or TikTok. You can also join my mailing list and tell me where you live, so then if I'm ever doing a tour, I know where my fans are at, so I can make sure to do shows in those places, if that makes sense. I'm working on a new hour of stand-up, which is really exciting, and I hope to be able to put that somewhere soon. And if you see me live in Chicago, you'll see me working on that material, which is very fun. And I hope that you can come see it someday. Next question is, what is the current status of your queer dating life? Which kind of feels like a secret, but I'm feeling a little loosey-goosey right now, so I'll tell you. I am experiencing a queer renaissance for myself, so I'm sort of like a second chance at high school is how it feels. I had such a restrictive childhood where I wasn't allowed to date. I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things, including like spend one-on-one time with anyone in like a dating context, even though I know that it seems like I did because of the whole Chloe experience, but we didn't know that that was queer at the time. You know what I mean? So it didn't feel like dating. So these experiences that people get to have where they meet someone and have like a talking stage and get to have their first kiss. I've only had that with like men in college. I've never had that with women. And so right now I am like casually dating for the first time. Like I'm going on dates with the intention of getting to know people better and no other like secret motive. I think growing up Christian taught me that you could only go on a date with the intention of marriage. I'm 24 right now. That's not something I'm interested in right now, but just like allowing myself to go on dates with people without having to have every step and the next step and the step after that figured out has been really freeing and fun. So I am casually dating right now, nothing like serious, and I'm having a lot of fun. I'm feeling like a kid again, like a high schooler, and it's been a blast. I'm obsessed with you guys. Thank you for sticking it out. Thank you for watching my solo episode. Let me know what you think. Genuinely cannot express to you enough how much the comments help me in terms of engagement and also figuring out what's working and not working for the podcast. Please comment and let me know what you think of the solo episode. I've not tried something like this, so I'm not sure how it will pan out, but I'm excited to give it a shot, and I hope you guys have a great week. Bye!